Meeting for February 13th, 2025. It is 8:59 a.m. We'll start the meeting. I guess we can take a roll call. We do have four board members in the room present for today's meeting, and we also have one board member who I believe is attending remotely.
Yeah, aloha, Jason. Good afternoon, good morning from Washington, D.C. I do have a few colleagues present around me, and Mahi, Aaron Kubo, and Andre Eshelman.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Thank
you
you
for attending.
Thank you.
We got some
people.
We have Director Kimura. Good morning. Before we get started, I'm going to ask Gordon Pang to come up and explain the rules for public testimony as we go through the decision-making items on today's agenda. I will be inviting the public to give testimony. Gordon?
Hi, good morning. Members of the public, we kindly request that you write your name legibly on the attendance sheet that is outside as you enter the meeting room. This will help us maintain a better record. Separately, anyone in the public who wishes to present oral testimony today can also sign up on the testifier sheet. You may also indicate your intent to do so by signaling to the chair. Your testimony must be related to an item on the board agenda, and your name will be called when the item comes up on the agenda. We ask that before you begin your testimony, you identify yourself and spell your name in a clear manner for the record. After 3 minutes, you will hear this sound. And you will then have 15 seconds to conclude your testimony. Please keep in mind that this is an opportunity for you to share your thoughts with the board. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to respond. If you wish to submit written testimony, instructions on submitting written testimony can be found on the front page of this agenda under the section titled Public Testimony. Mahalo for your cooperation.
Thank you, Gordon. So the first item of business is under section 2 of the agenda, which is the approval of minutes. And this is the approval of the regular meeting minutes from January 9th, 2025. Oh, okay. Good morning, Mary Alice Evans. I see you're muted. Are you, is there anyone attending the meeting with you?
No, I'm alone and present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for January 9th?
I'll second.
Second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is on the agenda is under section 3, which is discussion and/or decision making, and this is item A, which is to authorize an application for exemptions from statutes, ordinances, and rules pursuant to section 201H-38 Hawaii Revised Statutes, and approve 1, the certification of Castle and Cook Waikoa LLC or other successor entity approved by the executive director as an eligible developer pursuant to section 15-307-24 Hawaii Administrative Rules. 2, to authorize the project proposal, and 3, execution of development documents for approved exemptions for the Waikoa Affordable Housing Project located in Honolulu, Hawaii, TMK number 12-1-53032. Can I have a motion to approve? And is there a second?
Right.
We have a second. Okay, I think what I'll do is defer public testimony until after presentations. So we have, is it Chairman?
Thank you, Chairman.
Good morning.
Good morning. In August of 2024, the developer submitted an application for 201H exemptions, the proposed Waikoa Affordable Housing Project. Project proposes a new construction mixed-use multi-tower development comprised of 1,032 affordable and market for sale units on approximately 182,398 square foot site, up to 1,667 parking stalls, approximately 239,229 total square feet of common areas, 69,143 total square feet of commercial space, and 70,665 square feet of recreational areas on the floating deck, comprised of outdoor and indoor facilities. One correction before we proceed. On page 2 of the 4 action, in the first sentence, section 2, item A, the property is incorrectly listed as in kilo, and therefore please amend the 4 action to replace the word kilo with Honolulu. The property is located within the Hawaii Community Development Authority, Pakako Community Development District, Mauka Area Plan, and thus is required to comply with regulations pursuant to Hawaii Administrative Rules, section 15-2, Mauka Area Rules, and is tabbed as block D, part of the second increment of AS's Kaiaulu Pakako Master Plan, AKMP. Of note is that the project is consistent with the development standards included in HCDA's approved 2021 amendment to the KKMP for the development of block D as a 2-1 project. The developer proposing the project is Castle and Cook Waiakoa LLC, with KP Waiakoa GP LLC as the co-developer. Castle and Cook Home Supply Incorporated is the managing member of the joint firm, and Co-Partners LLC is the managing member of the co-partner. As far as further specifications for the project, it's comprised of 2 residential towers, a pallet podium with a residential liner and ground level commercial retail space. The Mauka Tower will be 42 floors, 33 floors of tower on top, 9 floors of podium. We'll have a total of 442 units. 276 units will be affordable to households earning less than 140% of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's area median income. The Makai Tower will also be 42 floors, the same 33 floors of tower on top, 9 floors of podium, and we'll have a total of 440 units. 260 units will be affordable to households earning less than 140% of the neighborhood. The podium will have a residential liner with a total of 100 units. 84 will be affordable to households earning less than 140% of the AMI. It should be noted that of the 620 affordable units, 200 will be restricted at 120% AMI, but the exact distribution of the units throughout the towers and residential liner has yet to be determined. Additional details regarding the breakdown in unit type, affordability mix, civic and recreation space are included in section 2 of the 4th section. Renderings can be found in Exhibit B, and selected preliminary drawings are in Exhibit C. Proceeding through the 4 actions, sections 3E and F show the proposed budget and sources of funds for the project that can be further expanded upon as needed. In the estimated schedule table for the project on page 6, in item 3G, there is a typo that incorrectly cites February 2024 as the projected date of board approval of the 21H exemptions and should be corrected to 2025. The property is currently occupied with 3 warehouse buildings, which will be demolished in their entirety, as well as the elimination of the section of Koula Street that bisects the project parcel. The developers have been active with community and agency consultation. Specifically on June 25th, 2024, the developers presented the project at the Honolulu Kakako Neighborhood Board number 11 and have been coordinating with the HCDA on the associated exemptions. Overall, the comments received from the public largely pertain to clarifications of the exemptions requested, whether the project considered rental units, and how the project will benefit the surrounding community. A list of the requested 201H exemptions for the project is in Exhibit F. The requested exemptions generally include exemption deferrals of various county fees, exemptions from the county's park dedication requirements, an exemption from electric vehicle infrastructure requirements to allow the provision of 50% of the required EV stalls, and exemptions from the HCDA's Mauka area rules, namely the associated plan development permit and requirements, density limits, height limits, view quarter setback requirements, building orientation, power spacing, and off-street parking with respect to the limited screening of the parking. All to allow commercial, social and civic uses and public benefits associated with increased delivery of affordable housing units, central community plaza, and other public open space. The developer is also requested to be certified as an affordable housing project with the governor's emergency proclamation relating to affordable housing, and is seeking to suspend HRS sections 302A-1601 to 1612 as listed in section 4 of the EP relating to school impact fees. HHFDC believes that the project qualifies to be certified as an affordable housing project under the event proclamation, but it should be noted that certification cannot occur until a development agreement is in place. After the HHFDC accepted the application for processing, the developer shared the application with the agencies and elected officials listed in Exhibit E for review and comment. A brief discussion of some significant comments is included in section 3N of the full action. A comprehensive summary of the comments received is listed in Exhibit G. Staff notes that the HCDA provided the most significant comments, primarily emphasizing the need to prioritize the pedestrian experience. To conclude, staff respectfully request that HHFDC or authorize the recommendations subject to conditions listed in section 4. The 4 action, which includes authorizing Cashel and Cook or LLC as an eligible developer, the project proposal, and the requested exemptions. The developer and co-developer are here today, and they have a brief PowerPoint presentation to share and are also available to answer questions.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any questions for Cameron? Not, I think, is there a question, Marielle?
Yes, I do have a question. I know that the period of affordability is 10 years. Was there, and I realize that this is an entirely privately funded project and that the only input from, in terms of the public support for it is for exemptions. However, was there any consideration to having a longer period of affordability for the affordable units?
That wasn't part of the discussions that at least I've been part of with the developer. That wasn't an option that was considered.
I wonder if I can add, this is a for sale project. So that 10 years refers to the 10-year buyback period. The shared appreciation equity would also apply. That does not have a time limit.
Okay, thank you. And is it our understanding that the single purpose entity plans to purchase the fee for the land from Kamehameha Schools?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. No more questions, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Cameron, could you maybe better unpack what's going on with the Cook Street view corridor? I'm not quite sure how that got resolved and what the exemption is for.
So the current state is when developers presented to HCDA, talk off the board. HCDA emphasized that visualization would be helpful. So a visualization of the view corridor has been provided to HCDA, and that can be furnished to the board if that's helpful at all.
Is the exemption though to narrow that width of 75 feet? That it seemed multiple agencies were saying to preserve the view corridor width.
Correct. There's an encroachment of the podium by 35 feet, I believe, and an encroachment of the Malka Tower some 45 feet into the view corridor. So I know that's a little bit hard to visualize, and this is an important linear green space, but we can probably provide that visualization if that'll help with the analysis.
And I guess given the design of the space, knowing that that view corridor was there, why was the design done in a way to encroach on it rather than avoid it?
Cameron, do we want to call up the developer?
Sure, maybe this will be a better moment to defer.
My name is Isaiah Sato, and I work at RM Tao Corporation. We're the planning agent for the developers Castle and Cook and co-partners. We also have the developer as well as the architect in the room. So just wanted to clarify exactly what the exemption was first off. So in the HCDA rules, there's a requirement for a view corridor setback along Cook Street. It's a minimum of 75 feet tower setback above the 45 feet elevation. Our project, the podium will have a height of approximately 80 feet. So the podium itself encroaches into that view corridor above the 45 feet by about 35 feet. Above the 45 feet requirement,
Sorry, it's a vertical encroachment.
it's so so Cook Street. So there's like a setback, so it's 45 feet. And then after 45 feet height, it's 75 feet wide. So our podium, like you said, it's I can show renderings later on, but our podium's up to 80 feet. So that, if you think about it, up 45 feet and then left to 75 feet, that's 35 feet width that we're encroaching there as well. We have some renderings coming up. There's two towers proposed in the site. We're dubbing them the Malka Tower and the Makai Tower. So the Makai Tower along Hawaii is on the Diamond Head portion of the site, right adjacent to Ulana. So we tried to push it all the way there. So the Ulana Project Tower is on the far side, the Diamond Head side there. So we were very cognizant of our tower placement in comparison to the buildings, in our project vicinity. The Malka Tower along Cook Street. If you picture it across Cook Street, there's the Stanford Kahuna Block C project, and that tower is along Cook Street. It's parallel to Cook Street there too. So we wanted to try to limit the effect where it kind of boxed in, that tunnel effect there. So we tried to push back the Malka Tower, and if you look, when we show our plans, it's not exactly parallel to Cook. It's a little bit diagonal. So the top portion of that is what encroaches in the tower setback as well. Most of the tower is outside of that setback a little bit more. So we really wanted to be cognizant of keeping space between the buildings as well. And for a project of our size, 1,032, we needed to have two towers. So we really tried to find the balance between the corridors as well as setbacks.
And so just as a follow-up, the HCDA agreed with that exemption. I know they disputed one of the other exemption requests, but on this particular setback encroachment piece.
Yeah, so they didn't make any comments on the setback encroachment piece at the board meeting. You remember I think it was the DPP designee made a comment on the view corridor. So we sent a rendering from our architect to HCDA.
Okay.
Thank you. This time, if there is a presentation, we can have you give us the presentation. And after your presentation, I'll ask if there's any public comments.
It sounds great. Thank you, Chair. Matt, you're there. So. Okay. I know Cameron did a great introduction of the project, so I'll try to blow through these slides there, more to short renderings. But again, the applicants is Castle and Cook Homes Hawaii and co-partners. They're proposing to develop 1,032 for sale residential units. 60% of those are going to be affordable, which will be 620, excuse me, and 412 of those units are going to be market, where the remaining 40% of the building. We're going to have a very large commercial space, 60,000 square feet, so well over an acre of commercial on site, as well as 40,000 square feet of ground floor plaza and promenade. We're going through the HRS Chapter 201H process there. The project site itself is located at 756 Oahe Street. Our lot area is the largest lot in the area, 4.2 acres. As Cameron mentioned, we're in the Kaka'ako Community Development District, Malka Area Plan, Hawaii Neighborhood Zone. to kind of know the site, there's 3 warehouse buildings. It's the existing UFC there. The Tesla is there as well. So there's no, excuse me, there's no residential tenants. It's all commercial tenants that had been well informed of this upcoming process. So we're part of Komeme School's Kaya Ulu o Kaka'ako master plan. So this is an image of their master plan. So just kind of looking at what's there ready to orient. You're very familiar with the orange ones. Increment 1, Block A, Kiaho Lane, Kiaho Place. Block B, which is the H Mart and 400 Kiave building. That was actually previously done by Castle and Cook as well. Block E, the collection, and Block F as the salt. So we're part of the blue, which is kind of the new upcoming increment 2. Right in the middle, Block D is Wayakoa proposed. We have Cook Street on the west side, Pohokaina on the Mauka side, Ulana, the Howard Hughes project on the Diamond Head side, and Awahi Street, which is on the Makai side of our project. Of course, right across on the west is Block C, Stanford Cars Kahuina project. On the Makai side, Block I, Aliyah, Kobayashi Group, Block H, as well as Block G, Kali. The pink is the other projects, yeah, or by others. Excuse me. So a quick overview of our project unit-wise. So we're really targeting to house Kama'aina. So we're going to be providing 620 of those units up to 140% area median income and below. We're really hoping to target local families, teachers, flight attendants, firefighters, police officers, etc. The breakdown, we have 3 categories there. So below 120% EMI, we want to have 200 of our units there, up to 120 to 140 EMI, another 420 units there, and the remaining market, mid-market units, 412. So we go from studios that are 370 to 460 square feet, all the way up to 3 bedrooms at 1,200 square feet. So we have good sized units on our project. This is a ground floor plan of our project. To orient yourself, first on the left is Awahi Street, Makai, the top is Cook, the Eva side, the right side is Pohokaina, the Mauka side, and the bottom is Ulana side of our project. So starting from, I guess, the Awahi Street side on the left, from the Central Community Plaza. So this is going to be a 25,000 square foot community plaza, at the corner of Cook and Awahi Street. So this is going to be a public amenity, a public plaza, meant to be used by Komeme schools and others to really activate this part of the project. On Cook Street, there's a 40-foot setback there where we're calling the Cook Street Promenade. So there's another 15,000 square feet along Cook Street as well on the top. In purple, you can see we're going to have a large commercial tenant there, as well as smaller tenants along Awahi, Cook, and even on the backside on Pohokaina there as well. Residential lobby, we have our main residential lobby off Pohokaina on the right. We have a small secondary lobby off Hawaii in the bottom left corner of this page as well. Parking entrance wise, we're going to have commercial parking entrance on Awahi Street on the left, our residential parking entrance and Porka Shares on Pohokaina on the right. And the bottom, I really wanted to mention is our loading access. So that's going to be one way in through Pohokaina down to Awahi. And this is meant for, our large commercial tenant to really unload the trailers, to have residential loading, as well as to have our garbage refuse. So that will be all internal building or internalized within the building to help with sound attenuation. This is a conceptual rendering of our Central Community Plaza. This image is taken, or rendering is taken from the corner of Cook and Awahi there. So we're really hoping to have a neighborhood gathering place, for recreation, entertainment, and culture there as well. This is a rendering of the Cook Street Promenade. This promenade is intended to help aid in the connection between Mother Wajan Park on the Mauka side to Kaka'ako Gateway Park, at the Makai side along Cook Street. Just going up the project now, floors 2 through 7. This is a typical floor plan. This one in front of us is the second floor. So if you see kind of in the middle of the site, we have commercial parking in gray for our commercial guests, and then in the lighter gray at the bottom is going to be our residential parking. On 3 up to 7, we're going to have all residential parking there. One thing I really like about this project is that we're really focused on, the pedestrian experience and having really hiding the parking garage as much as we can. So as you can see on the Awahi and the Cook Street side, excuse me, we're gonna line the building with the residential liner. So if you're standing on the street on there, you won't see the parking garage, you'll see lights on residential units there. So the liner goes through the full parking podium. This is a rendering along Awahi Street. So we're looking at the Central Plaza down below. And again, you see that liner that goes up the side of the parking podium there. This is our rec deck level E. We're planning on providing amenities, pools, outdoor children's play areas, pavilion, club rooms, fitness center. And these amenities will be available to all of our residents, the market, as well as the affordable. This is a typical floor plan of both of our towers there. So they're the same floor plan, 13 units per floor, 9th to the 42nd there as well. And they vary from studios to 3 bedrooms. Like I was mentioning earlier, the Malka Tower is not exactly parallel to Cook, it's kind of diagonal to Cook there. So to kind of help explain the view corridor setback a little more. So that top corner, top right, I guess, of the Malka Tower is what encroaches into the view corridor setback. So our project is part of UNESCO's Kaya Ulu Alako Master Plan. We're really at the Pico. So the central plaza is intended for really a Pico, or the gathering place for recreation, entertainment, and culture. We also support the retail corridor that's identified in the master plan to have engaging storefronts along Awahi Street. And we also help support the park-to-park connection on Cook Street by providing the 40-foot wide promenade there. And that's it for our slides. Happy to answer any more questions.
Thank you for the presentation. So at this time, I'd like to invite anyone in the public here in the room or viewing remotely to, if they're wishing to give public testimony, please feel free. This would be your time. Hearing none, directors, do you have any additional questions?
That was helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Quick question, will the market units and the affordable units be interspersed? Will they be throughout those towers?
Yeah, exactly. So that's something that's really great about this project. We're not gonna have like a separate entrance. There's no like corridor. Everything is gonna be commingled. The downstairs plaza is gonna be not just the residents, but the guests in the neighborhood. And then, of course, we share lobbies, and the amenities are gonna be shared as well. So we're still working on exactly which units are affordable, but we're planning on having affordable units in the residential liner on the podium as well as throughout both of the towers. So it's not going to be one tower affordable, one tower market.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if not, all those in favor of the for action, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Cameron. Okay, we're next going on to item 3B of the agenda. 3B is to approve, 1, the certification of Ali Mahaolu and other successor entity approved by the executive director as an eligible developer pursuant to section 15-307-24 Hawaii Administrative Rules. 2, the project proposal, and 3, negotiation and execution of development documents, regulatory agreements, rights of entry, leases, mortgage consents, and other related project documents, and to undertake any actions related thereto, or subdivision and or consolidation of parcels and or creation of a condominium property regime. And 5, grant and approval of such easements as may be necessary for the Front Street Apartments redevelopment project at 1056 Front Street, located in Lahaina, Maui. TMK numbers 4-5-003, 013, and 014. Is there a motion, directors, to approve?
No move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Okay, I'll turn it over to Albert at this time.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. My name is Albert Palmer. I'm the Development Section Chief at HHFDC. The Front Street Apartments project located in Lahaina, Maui which consisted of 142 residential units, was destroyed in the August 2023 Lahaina wildfire. HHFDC is the landowner. Following the destruction of the property, HHFDC and the prior ground lessee mutually terminated the lease and released the regulatory restrictions. Since then, we have been working towards the redevelopment of the property. Adjacent to Front Street Apartments is the Lahaina Surf project, which was also severely damaged by the wildfire and will also need to be rebuilt. On April 11th, 2024, the board authorized the executive director to enter into exclusive negotiations with Hale Mahaolu, the owner of Lahaina Surf, for the purposes of redeveloping the Front Street Apartments project, and also to acquire certain parcels immediately adjacent to the property. On January 9th, 2025, the board authorized a dwelling unit revolving fund, or DURF, budget of up to $5.5 million for project costs, including but not limited to a pre-development loan to help the project deliver much-needed permanent housing units in Lahaina. If this for action is approved, then the developer will be the recipient of the DURF interim pre-development loan contemplated in last month's for action, provided that, as noted in last month's for action, if the current plan for the redevelopment does not work out, then a loan may be made to any subsequent developer. Hale Mahaolu is a nonprofit corporation experienced in the development and management of affordable housing and has developed several projects in the past involving HHFDC. Hale Mahaolu plans to partner with High Ridge Costa Development Company, an experienced affordable housing developer that has been involved with several projects involving HHFDC, which utilized low-income housing tax credits. The project proposal involves the redevelopment of the property with a similar concept as the previous property, but with increased density to assist with the provision of permanent housing for Lahaina following the 2023 wildfire. The project is anticipated to utilize low-income housing tax credits, in which case the units will meet LIHTC affordability requirements, but in any case, the units will be affordable at no more than 140% of the area median income, excluding managers' units. The details of the project, including the exact unit count, unit type mix, and affordability mix, are still being finalized. This for action shows the development of the project in 2 phases, containing 192 units. Due to the overwhelming need to provide permanent housing in Lahaina, pending feasibility, funding, infrastructure availability, and permit reviews, HHFDC and the developer are also considering increasing the density of the project further, potentially up to 250 or even 300 units. Due to the need to maintain flexibility with the project in order to respond to the area's needs, the project plans, budget, schedule, and other project details are subject to change. The plans included with this for action show 19 residential buildings ranging in height from 2 to 3 stories, and also some ancillary buildings such as community and laundry buildings. One way to provide additional density may be to increase all of the buildings to 3 stories. Other ways to provide additional density are still being explored. The property consists of 2 parcels, the parcel which contained the previous project and an adjacent parcel which HHFDC recently acquired. HHFDC may also acquire another parcel adjacent to the site, in which case it would be added to the project site. The project may require consolidation and or subdivision and or a declaration of a condominium property regime. HHFDC's goal is to pursue this project as quickly as possible to address the community need. The governor has issued a 20th emergency proclamation pertaining to the wildfires, which suspends HRS Chapter 343 to the extent necessary to respond to the emergency. The EP will help expedite the project by allowing the board to take immediate action on the project. Nonetheless, HHFDC is planning to prepare an environmental assessment exemption notice for the project subsequent to approval of this for action, or if the project does not qualify for an EA exemption, then an EA may be required. The 20th EP also suspends HRS Chapter 205A relating to coastal zone management. The language in the 20th EP, which came out on February 4th after this for action had been finalized, has some changes when compared to the language contained in the 19th EP that is discussed in the for action. The suspension of HRS 205A in the 20th EP further states that the special management area and shoreline regulations shall only be applied to parcels located in Mackay of Front Street as determined by the Maui Planning Director. This project is located in Mauka of Front Street. HHFDC and the developer will discuss further with the Maui Planning Department following this for action. If the EP's SMA suspension cannot be utilized, then an SMA permit may need to be sought unless otherwise exempted. For example, there is currently a bill in the legislature which may exempt it. Or alternatively, the project may be redesigned as necessary in order to allow it to utilize the suspension of HRS 205A. HHFDC finds the following: that the project primarily includes affordable housing units to households with incomes at or below 140% of the AMI, that the developer is an eligible developer pursuant to section 15.307.24 HAR, that the project proposal meets the minimum requirements pursuant to section 15.307.26 HAR, and that the project is consistent with the purpose and intent of chapter 201H HRS and meets minimum requirements of health and safety. The recommendation is that the board approve the following: the developer or other successor entity approved by the executive director as an eligible developer pursuant to section 15.307.25 HAR, the project proposal, negotiation and execution of development documents, regulatory agreements, rights of entry, leases, mortgage consents, and other related project documents, and to undertake any actions related thereto, subdivision and or reconsolidation of parcels and or creation of a condominium property regime, grant and approval of such easements as may be necessary, and authorizing the executive director to take all actions necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. And we do have representatives from the developer here today available to answer questions about the projects.
Thank you. Before we go on, I do want to ask if there's anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item. I guess not. So directors, do you have any questions for Albert or for the developer representatives?
Again, Chair Directors, yeah, we are asking for some flexibility on the project design. Normally, we bring a project for approval. It's a pretty set design. In this case, we're looking to increase density and run a very tight timeline here also. So the intent is for this project to apply for, I think, financing next year. A lot of work has to be done between now and then. So we're working with the design team on what the best options are to get the most number of units there, because they are badly needed. All right.
Yes.
I have a question. Could you,
Go ahead.
I know you said the affordability mix is still being worked out, but could you talk about what the affordability mix was before the fire and where you think it might land?
Yes, so the project was originally designed and utilized LIHTC funding. There was some history with that involving early release of the regulatory agreement, which was then reinstated under a court order and became affordable again. If it receives LIHTC financing, it's anticipated all the units will have to meet LIHTC requirements, whether that is the current requirements or income averaging requirements, meaning 60% below AMI could be a limit or an average, is my understanding. Based on my incomplete understanding, admittedly, of how the averaging works. But in any case, the project, except for any managers units, will be meeting HHFDC's minimum requirements of 140% AMI and below.
I guess, and I'm wondering, I think this was serving extremely low income individuals or families prior to the fire.
Prior to the fire, it was a LIHTC project, so most it was split between 50% AMI, 60% AMI, almost split. So that is one of the objectives, is that we are looking to provide give priority to the former tenants. That's that they can qualify for.
Okay.
recommending.
So then like the current or the existing tenants or prior, they would get their same and then like maybe the increase in density would be for more for the workforce housing type, 140-ish. AMI.
So decrease in density would be for just the general public, so former tenants would get first part to come back. And then the additional use would be available to other Lahaina residents, second priority and. But they would all be. With some discussion about whether or not it would be a tier 2 project or not, it's the second phase, but in any case, it would all be. Fictions. Something that we heard also from the rest, they're very concerned about. We need to meet the affordability restrictions, given that. You know, just to pay rent now, some of them are paying market rents, they're working 2-3 jobs. Which they don't feel sustainable, it probably isn't, but now they're over income, which is something we have to. Factor in and try to figure out.
Anyone else have questions? Directors? Would like to say a few words?
Well, thank you. I appreciate Honest Lines Executive Director of Polymahu. I appreciate the board's consideration of this project, and we're have a very robust working relationship with your staff, and are really looking forward to developing this project.
Great. Well, we're certainly looking forward to seeing this one come online as soon as possible. Appreciate the look at increasing density. Because I think in the long term, all those units will be utilized for the area. So thank you for that. If there's no further questions, I will ask for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes section 3 of today's agenda. Going on to section 4, this is the report by the executive director. We'll turn it over to Cynthia, but we'll turn it over to Dean first, and then
First, I'll have Cynthia give a legislative update. We're expecting 100 people this year. Cynthia has been very busy.
So as Director Minakami, which I will get to. Good morning, Chair Mackler, members of the board. I'm Cynthia Nyros, the Legislative Coordinator for HHFDC. You have our list of bills relating to housing. I'll be highlighting 3 sets of bills that are in the governor's package. House Bill 1008, Senate Bill 1327. This streamlines the historic review process for affordable housing projects by requiring the Department of Land and Natural Resources to make a determination on the project's effect on various factors. House Bill 1008 just passed out of the Housing Waterland committees. The House Draft 2 will revert back to the original bill, which we prefer. House Bill 1009, Senate Bill 1328. We would like to make changes to the new dwelling unit revolving fund equity program, which was established in statute in the 2023 session to purchase equity in units in certain for sale housing developments, which brings down the price that eligible buyers pay. These changes include allowing gift funds and making the program permanent so that more eligible buyers may participate in the program. House Bill 1009, House Draft 1 was passed out of the Housing Committee last week. And lastly, House Bill 1010 and Senate Bill 1329. This set creates a tier 2 sub-account within the rental housing revolving fund so that we are able to finance projects outside the first priority without the need for legislation. We want to provide housing for this demographic, and because they can afford higher rents, the loans are paid back more quickly, which allows the funds to revolve quicker. Neither of these bills are alive. However, House Bill 432, a majority package caucus bill that is similar, was passed out of the Housing Committee last week. So some deadlines you should be aware of. Today is the first lateral deadline. So over the past 3 weeks, we have submitted 104 testimonies for House and Senate bills meeting this deadline. And just as a comparison, last year by this time, we submitted 58 testimonies. So many of these bills are now headed to the Ways and Means and Finance Committees, which will take place during the mandatory 5-day recess that begins February 20. That's all I have.
Thank you, Cynthia. Cynthia's the one who's been drafting all those testimonies, making sure the appropriate staff review them, so great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Some other updates for 802.1 Manu project. Update that since July, the project has sold 10 units, so they have gained some momentum. We did grant a 6-month extension. That extension is contingent upon, well, future extensions contingent upon including sales goals. And also that their staff receive additional training. Sell for the units. Our street apartments all note that we're concluding the meeting on January 29th. Staff attended, and it was surprising in the sense that we knew there's gonna be interest there, but I think we all thought there'd be 30, 40 people will show up on a Wednesday evening. There were probably about 150 residents that showed up, much more than we thought. And also what was surprising in a good way is that, we've had other projects in behind us, such as the Kukuya project, or even the FEMA, or not the FEMA project, the DHS, the state project that's being built on our lands of Bailey. There's been some skepticism or some opposition to plans to rebuild. In this case, everyone was supportive. And the only thing they asked is, can't you do it quicker? So that's great, and we're gonna try to move that project along as quickly as we can. And last, I just want to note for the arbitration in Waihole. Right now, arbitration hearings would be scheduled for the second week of March. I met with members of the Waihole Community Association Steering Committee on January 22nd, and earlier this week. We're trying to see if we come to a settlement that would avoid arbitration. So we're hopeful that perhaps we can come to an agreement, but if not, then the hearings will be second week of March. And that concludes my report.
Directors, do you have questions for Dean? I just have one this pertains to the Ibilei Infrastructure Master Plan, which I recall reading could facilitate the future development of 17,000 housing units, both affordable and market. What are the next steps after the EIS processing and the final development plan review?
That's a good question. We're actually contracting with a third party. The contract hasn't been finalized yet, but they would be a group that could help coordinate among the different landowners and developers who have projects in the area, as well as the city and the state, to coordinate a lot of these infrastructure improvements and who pays for those improvements so that development can proceed. Because at that point, it becomes a coordination issue of what infrastructure is needed for the different projects. And who pays for it and when.
Who would take the lead or something?
Well, this consultant group would be the coordinating agency, but then it'd be among the state, city, and developers to basically come up with a financing plan for the improvements.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions, directors? Okay, if not, thank you, Dean. Thank you, Cynthia. At this time, we have reached the adjournment of today's meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? So I heard the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Second, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.